So, is it true that Star Citizen is dying, or is it just a handful of us that find it to be tedious and boring, especially since master modes that ruins flight and combat for most of us used to the previous experience, and now with a new inventory system forcing you to stand in front of a box only to then apply the magic of stuff appearing or disappearing from your inventory, your person, and retrieving what you need? Well, actually we have an answer for that. This is Google Trends, and Google Trends lets you know how often something is being looked up, how often something is being searched. For example, here you see the Olympics, right? This is from the past day, so this is pretty stable. If we go back to 30 days ago, you see that there's been a huge jump in popularity. This is a very good way of estimating how popular something is, how popular a game is, how well that game is doing financially, how well it's selling. The more popular something is, the more it's likely to sell, the more it's likely to be topics read about such a thing. For example, here with the Olympics, obviously when the moment in which it starts, you see how it jumps in popularity. If you go back like 5 years, right, you see the same sort of pattern, and as you can see here, it was a lot more popular back in the previous one, right? This is still ongoing, and it could go up, but let's say that this one just goes up half of way. Well, that would be a huge indication that this one was a great failure compared to the previous one. Now, the same thing applies to most things you can search online, including video games. Let's look up our game, Star Citizen. There you go, video game. It found it. Great. So Star Citizen, this is how it's been doing this past day. This is how it's been doing this past week, right? So it hasn't changed a whole lot. What about the last 90 days? All right, it's gone down from a moment in which it was doing a little bit better here. And this is what happens when they release a new patch, right? When there's a new patch, releases and goes back to how it was going. Now, in the last 12 months, we see that it's kind of stuck in there. It's not gaining much. If we go back, because the project has been around for a long time, we go back to 5 years, we see there's a huge improvement in popularity here, right? It peaks at times, and then it goes back to how it was. Now, these are from June, right? No, from May, right? So it goes through these phases where you might think, oh, it's doing awesomely well. Well, not really. Not nearly as much. It used to be doing very good back here. 2022 was definitely a good year. Look at how thick that popularity peak is. Here we're losing. It's getting smaller and lowering, and this is a pretty solid trend of staying where it is without peaking. And if you think that 324 is going to be doing much of a favor to the game, you're mistaken. This is not really good. If you look at how it was booming, this would be the moment of where the game boomed. It was doing very bad here, 2021. Then it did very well, right, for a while. Then it kind of kept on going for a little bit. This one here is, and these may be attributed to things like unorganic popularity. If you do like a lot of advertising, you put the thing all over the place, and for a few weeks you get a lot of people clicking and asking and looking around and searching, what is this thing, right? So you have a peak, but then the organic nature of the thing takes over, and you are left with what actually is going in there. And as you see, this is pretty bad, especially since we haven't had anything like that low for that long. This is from June. This last couple months have been pretty bad. You haven't had anything like that for a long time. Maybe this was the lowest it's been in the last 5 years. This point here, this would have been very concerning, right? Hey, we have to start making money right now. But this is just, it just shows where you are in terms of the game. But if we go for the last 12 months and we compare to let's talk about a game that is arguably a big failure compared to the enormous success. No, Starfield. Right, let's go with Starfield. No, not Starbucks. Starfield. Starfield is a game that I've been told many times has been doing awfully bad. Right? So this last 12 months, it was, of course, extremely popular when it first came out. And now it's what? Kind of like? Well, not really. Let's go back to these last 30 days as we get it close. It's nowhere even close. It's at 27, and it's almost 80 for Starfield. This means, let me translate this for you. This means that Starfield is doing a lot better than Star Citizen. It's a lot more popular. And it's trending upwards instead of trending downwards, like you see here. So there's still a difference there. Let's compare it with a game I've been enjoying, No Man's Sky. That was a huge failure. Was it really? Okay, no, apparently no, it wasn't. It is extremely popular, and if you go back, what's been happening the last week or so, last week has been pretty insane. Well, I mean, it's been doing a lot. It's very stable here for the last 7 days. That's interesting. Last 90 days, because there you go. So with in this chart, you clearly see how it jumped, right? So it was doing a little bit better than Star Citizen, and then it just took off. It just went through the roof. And this is because of the Planets Part 1 update. But keep in mind, there's going to be 5 of those. So, and they're going to be releasing them. It's not going to be a soon TM. No. They will release them as they just released that one. But once you play it and once you see, I agree with this 100%. I think that that No Man's Sky is leaps and bounds better than Star Citizen, and it is clearly doing a lot better than Starfield. I would put Starfield like a little bit closer-ish there in terms of my personal take, right? Which means nothing. My own personal opinion just matters to me, and maybe to you if you're watching this. But I like Starfield quite a bit. I think that Starfield had a huge negative press recently, especially with videos shitting on Starfield being so popular and doing so well. That never does you any favors, but it's not getting a fair shake, at least the way I see it. Starfield is pretty good. It's nowhere near as close to being as bad as Star Citizen in this current time. But this is the reality. This is what actually is. Your opinion, but I like my physicalized inventory. It's not physicalized, my man. You're nothing, you don't have anything physicalized there. You're still dealing with a magic inventory that stuff just appears or disappear on your body. You're not picking up anything. You're not placing things in shelves or in places that you actually see it. No, it just disappears. It's the same magic inventory that you had, only less convenient. And it is a lot less inconvenient because they're just interested in doing a massive time sink, so as to trick you into thinking you're actually playing when you're just wasting time. That's the nice thing about time sinks for games that are just purely focused on monetization, which is you're not playing anything, you're just wasting your time. You're not achieving anything within the game. You could argue that anything that you're doing in a video game is wasting your time, but in terms of progression within the world of the game itself, you're not going anywhere in Star Citizen. You are getting things done and progressing and advancing in the story or in your own personal journey of discovery or whatnot in these other games. But that's basically how things are. I don't think this is a good... I don't think it's doing well. I think it's actually doing quite bad. It's definitely doing the worst of all of these three, no question there whatsoever. And I now understand why they are so desperate in terms of ship sales. This flat line here and the flat line that will continue with 324, and maybe we'll jump with CitizenCon and the ship sales, but man, it's not looking good. If you see this trend here, it's not a good one. And in the last year, it's kind of like the same thing. And I know that here the line gets like all mixed up, but you know here how it just keeps on trending downwards. This last year, these last 12 months, it has not advanced. It has not gone over any of the natural competition that it has. And it just shows exactly how things are. And it shows exactly why so many of us feel like that. Now it's not about just me. It's not just about a handful of us people, disgruntled backers. No, this proves that it's a lot of us. This is a lot of people that stopped playing. There's a lot of people that got fed up and said, I want to play it. It's just unbearable. And that's the only thing that matters. Guys, see you next time. Take care.